Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Issue podcast. As you could probably tell from that opening, we're talking about The Flash today, the Flash movie. We will be going into full spoilers. It's nice to have you guys back. I know did we take last week off? Did we do a show last week? We did, right? Josh, you and I did a show, right? No?
I don't think so. No, actually, we didn't because all my comics are from last week.
That's right. So. That's right. We did it. I did a show Friday night with some of my friends for the Ultimate Invasion.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that was nice. We'll definitely do that again once the event's over. But to kick us off today, we're gonna start with the Flash. A lot of stuff, like I said, full spoilers ahead. You've been warned by the banner at the bottom of the screen. So let us know in the chat if you have any questions, comments about the Flash. Right off the top, we are all aware of Ezra Miller and their situation, so we won't get too much into that. I think we all went into the film knowing that, but there was still a lot of stuff that we wanted to look at, and overall, I mean, there's a lot of other people that worked on the film, so we definitely wanted to revisit some of those things. So we'll get into it, full spoilers, but I did want to kind of just address that at the top of the show. We definitely are aware and try to separate sometimes the art from the artist, which, man, they keep making it very, very difficult. Like they just like
Jonathan Major's story just keeps getting worse and worse for him.
Oh no, I haven't been checking the news. That's not
don't. I think it's better if you don't.
Real quick though, he had apparently 6 previous females that he had dated who had written statements on his behalf that they had given out. Then when they went to contact these women, most of them said they either didn't write it, didn't agree to it. Yeah, like his law team has falsified some documents on some women's statements that makes him look even worse. And then a Rolling Stone article came out this week that's going back 10 years to his time in Yale.
Oh God, none of this is good. It's too high.
All right, well, let's hop onto another multiverse.
Sometimes replace him with John Krasinski.
Sometimes we just want to leave this one behind. Anyways, so we're gonna get into the Flash. We have a non-spoiler review on the channel if you want to go check that out. But I wanted to talk to Josh. Finally, he watched the movie on time.
It's a rarity. I saw it the week after it came out. That never happens.
Josh, when we last talked, you mentioned you were rewatching the Batman movies, kind of in preparation for the Flash.
Here's the mistake I made. Only the Keaton ones.
To be fair, that's really the main thing that.
Yeah, but there's some.
It's kind of
one big spoilery thing we'll get to at the end. That
we'll talk about that because I think there's a lot from this movie. If you really want to catch everything, and I mean everything, it's a big list of things that you would want to watch.
Oh yeah,
lots of stuff. Let me ask you both because I was very spoiled by most of the film. So, were you guys spoiled going in, or were there some real great surprises?
There was one big spoiler about a movie that was never made. That somebody mentioned had been confirmed, and I wasn't sure. I didn't want to hear about it. I was just at the shop, and they were talking out loud, and I kind of overheard the conversation. But I mean, I didn't put too much weight into it because it felt like a real far-fetched rumor. Lucky for me, it wasn't.
I had not had honestly, almost everything was a complete surprise, and I was really pleased by that. So I was geeking out the whole, especially the last third of the movie was just constant, like, what, and then when you get to the big the the big scene at the end when they're in the time bubble, and you see all the different, multiverse planets kind of crashing together. That was the minute I was like, holy shit. And I will say, I'm probably the only parent in the world that has done this. Years and years and years and years ago, so Hazel must have been maybe around 10, we watched the Supergirl movie with Helen Slater.
Yeah, Helen Slater.
So she I think was the only person in the audience that got that reference. And me, of course. But yeah,
really funny.
It was I did like they gave a nod to her. It would have felt very weird to have a Superwoman in the movie as a key character and not acknowledge her when that came up. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
All right, Clay's gonna be back in a minute, so we'll let's get into it a little bit then, okay. Josh. I guess let's kind of continue with you. So you guys went to the theater. I'm glad to see. What did Hazel think of the movie? I guess. Well, what did she tell you?
She liked it. She had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun. We took our niece, who also seemed to have a ton of fun. I don't know how much experience she'd had with any of the other DC film properties, be it the DCEU or the prior ones. But but Hazel had a lot of fun. And I was also really pleased because she really enjoyed Batman 89 and Batman Returns, to the point where she was like, are there more of these? And I was like, well, kind of, not really, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, she had a great time. I had a great time. The movie is just, now I will say, I went in with incredibly low expectations because it was getting slaughtered in the reviews and, just like social media. And I went in thinking this is going to be a disaster, but we kind of had to go because my wife had an event here. And so we just had to get out of the house.
And Josh is like, I refuse to spend time with my child while I have to talk to them. So I'm just going to go to the movie.
No, not that. We would have gone and done something different. It's like, let me take you girls to go see this horrible movie that has terrible reviews. But no, it is just a fucking fun movie. It is really fun.
It is awesome fun. Like you don't get caught. Like anytime there seems to be a dip, there's great fan service. Yep. There's comedic points of Ezra Miller playing two different versions of himself that evolves through the film.
Yeah, that's really impressive, I have to say. But they really carry the film.
Yeah.
And they carry it in a way that I think is incredibly laudable. But also, this movie walks a tightrope because if it had leaned too far into the comedic side or too far into the kind of Snyder navel gazing side, sorry, Danny, I know he's going to pull it. I think it would have failed. And it just is able to find this perfect balancing act between the two. That is just great. I mean, for the most part, the humor hits, the jokes hit, the callbacks hit. It just, Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the fact that if any of us had to go back and deal with our 18-year-old self, we would just be so frustrated with what that person's doing and wasting their time on. And just, like, I love that relationship of how Barry still feels like that kid, but now he's in charge.
Right.
He can't get control of himself.
And he's also kind of jealous of himself because this Barry grew up with his parents and had a more normal life. He was spoiled, right? Like, I will say I'll put this right off the bat. The one sequence I didn't care for at all was when they went back to Barry's apartment and like his roommates were there. Oh, I hated every single one of those characters.
Yeah, there's not a laudable character at all.
I was like, I know we're here because we got to get to the cave and they got to. I understand the sequence, But man, I just hated every single one of those characters. I didn't care for them at all.
Well,
Yeah,
and I'll
I
say
don't know
that
if that
was
was supposed to display like Barry's friendships that he would have with his
oh,
mother versus how
yeah, but
alone he is without her.
but they're awful people. I mean, they're like, and I
Yeah,
haven't
but
even.
who do we see as Barry's friends?
Yeah, true. Which they make a comment about early in the film when he reunites with Iris, but
Yeah.
I didn't mind that scene as much. I think the thing that the thing that bothered me, and it was the one thing I didn't bother to explain to the kids on the way back because I was like, I don't even know how to broach this, but for old farts like I'll just say Clay and I'm not going to throw you into that term,
Oh,
Danny.
thanks.
I found it both so weird and so hilarious that they use a real thing like Eric Stoltz being initially cast in Back to the Future
Yes.
as the big clue that that he's fucked with the multiverse.
It's a very Sliders approach to the show.
Yes.
If you ever watched the 90s movie or 90s show Sliders, they were always trying to get back to their universe.
Right.
And it would just be one thing off in that universe that you could tell.
Yeah.
And the Eric Stoltz thing. I wish they had shown footage. I wish they had
Yeah.
filmed some
Yeah.
Back to the Future or just
Like
taken some of that
in,
deleted
and
stuff.
it's the scene in the cafe when that we know that footage
With George
exists.
McFly, right? With his dad.
Yeah.
Like when
Yep.
yeah, I mean, that was amazing. I love that. That was just really
And the thing I really like about it though is that it's just subtle enough that when it first comes up the first time, it just seems like there's this weird pop culture thing that both Barrys can relate to. And then because it's brought up at least twice before the scene in his apartment.
yeah.
And then you get back to the apartment, you're like, wait, something is really wrong here. That's what I mean by kind of the balancing act this film takes, right? And I really want to credit because there was only one screenwriter credited. And I'm blanking on her name.
Christina Hodge, she did Birds of Prey as well.
Did she? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I can only imagine she was handed just a file folder of just aborted scripts and notes on napkins, and she just pulled that whole thing together into a relatively tight, fun script.
Do you guys remember that there were rumblings at some point that Grant Morrison and Ezra Miller had their own version of the script?
Oh no! I've
yeah,
never heard
that
this,
was
and that sounds
that would have been pretty insane. I'm not gonna lie, I would like.
I
to have
would
that read to me.
Okay, I would be like the kids who remade it, Raiders of the Lost Ark when they were kids. I would want to take that script and make that movie by myself.
To be fair, the end of this film does have big, Grant Morrison vibes with the whole, multiverse and everything. That was Grant Morrison really explored a lot of that in the Multiversity series, and there's a lot of that in the comics.
I do want to address one thing though. The movie is called The Flash, and they do not use John Wesley's ship as a flashback when they show all the Superman stuff, and I really wish they had.
I thought they did.
No, they don't. So I have a theory about this because I was chatting in my gaming group with a buddy of mine because he made the same point. He's like, I was really disappointed that Grant Gustin didn't show up.
Yes.
Ship didn't show up. And I realized that every reference and Easter egg and cameo is from a film, not a TV show. The only exception is George Reeves' Superman. But even that you can make the argument because at a certain point, didn't they package together some of the Reeves episodes and release them theatrically?
And I don't want to get too far ahead, but the Flash we do see from the CW is the guy who ended up being Eobard Thawne, but he was pretending to be Jay Garrick from season 2 or 3, I think.
Yes, yeah,
he showed up
with the helmet. Yeah,
I do remember seeing Jay Garrick.
Okay, but see, I thought I read somewhere that was just a total rando. Like everyone thought that was a
no. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait till the digital's out. Or watch it. Or go watch it. I have a list. I have a list that was part of the thing, so I kind of want to go.
Okay, all right.
We can revisit the cameos.
I do. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Danny,
no, go ahead, Josh, and then we'll get into it.
I do want to say, and I said this as we were in the chat after I saw it. My one complaint about this film is the special effects. I thought they were just weak as hell. I mean, even down to that first big opening action scene. Every time you saw Batman's cape flap around, I'm like, oh, that's totally CGI. Like everything just looked and
head placement would be weird.
Head placement would be weird. Every time they go into the time bubble and you see all the like action around them, it's like it never quite gets to the uncanny valley level. It's always one step below that. And I hate to knock it for that because I'm sure that this film has been through so many permutations, right? That I'm sure there was a lot of like having to redo effects but I felt like for a film this long in gestation to have effects that looked that obvious was not great.
That's always been a DC problem though. Like for some reason they just can't lock down. It's either grandiose and it's the entire background where it just looks like they're acting on a green screen. Yeah, that's the example I'm talking about.
Now this movie nailed it.
I will and actually I will agree with Danny. Man of Steel.
No, this one doesn't have that.
Yeah, not in the Snyder. In the Snyder one, they did fix that.
Clay's making me very angry too early in the morning.
Man of Steel had
come in with nothing but love for the Flash.
Yeah. Oh, and also I was pissed off because I feel like if we're gonna get a big budget, large screen theatrical Flash experience, why does he still look like a 3D model running on screen? Like I get it in the TV show, both TV shows, right? But for fuck's sake, I feel like when the Flash runs, he shouldn't feel like he's running on air. Like there should be some weight to his steps, and it bugged the shit out of me.
I like the concept of him gliding. Like he's going so fast that he just glides on the surface.
But if there's no friction, how's he getting momentum? I mean,
Leonard Kim
is superior. I don't know. It really bugged me.
I want to. Okay, so you, Josh, what I'm hearing is you wanted them to use real babies in a microwave for the opening sequence.
I do.
Okay, that is the one moment in the opening sequence where it nearly jumped the shark. When the building collapses and like 8 cribs on rollers go to the window. I remember I audibly yelled out of the theater, "Oh fuck no!" Like I was just like so because I'm like, how the hell?
I love that. I loved seeing just babies dropping out of the window because like Shelby was walking around when I was watching it, and she goes, "What happened now?" And I go, "Oh, they just threw a bunch of babies out a window for the Flash to save."
That was talk about a save the cat moment, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I hate that Barry addresses it or calls himself like the janitor of the JLA. That kind of bad mouthing himself as far as cleanup. When the Justice League there is basically him and 2 other people because we never see anyone else.
Well,
right. Well, I mean, they've got Cyborg and Superman.
We know Superman's around, right? He was busy. They showed him on the screen.
Right, yeah.
There's Batman, but he was also busy chasing the guys. Then we do have Wonder Woman show back up, which was really cool. Like
that was a great scene. But again, I have to add, it was that her because in the same way
this one it was Gal. It wasn't like the Shazam where they got somebody else to body capture and whatever rendering. I want 10 more minutes of Alfred talking to the Flash.
Yeah, that was great.
That was so Jeremy Irons. I hope we get him back in some capacity because he could come back as Ozymandias for all I care.
Well, and again, I want to give him props for the fact that unlike his I totally agree with you, Leonard.
Leonard also wanted real babies, practical effects.
Real babies. unlike his performance in the 2000 D&D movie, Jeremy Irons seems to have taken his DCEU role seriously. So he's actually not chewing scenery in it.
I mean, Alfred Pennyworth is a pretty cool character. Like he's an old, MI6 agent that retired and now is like the butler, aka father figure for like the most famous vigilante in the world. Like that's pretty cool.
I did have a weird moment. I don't want to jump ahead, but I did have a weird moment where when they enter into Wayne Mansion in the Young Berries universe, and you first see the person in the kitchen, I thought that was Irons as
like
Alfred,
a disheveled Alfred,
because just with all the like face covered up, it kind of looked like Jeremy Irons, and I was like, oh, are they introducing him as Alfred here? And then you kind of you get more of him later. I was like, oh no, that's actually
So I guess before we get into the Flashpoint world, I mean, I think this is one of my favorite performances for Ben Affleck as Batman. Like he looked like he. Yes, Clay.
Okay, but if you're gonna use Batman, like we've had so many fucking superhero movies and stuff, if you're gonna drop him out of a jet on a motorcycle, let's not do it just like we saw in the first Avengers movies a decade ago. Like do something cooler. Like when we saw the Bat Cycle in the Nolan films and it ran up a wall and turned around, that was fucking new and original. And seeing Batman drop out of a jet is Black Widow did that. So
I did like the skiing on the street, like when he was holding onto the van and just
that was new and original. When I saw that, I said that is
cool.
the fucking shit Batman would do, and it looked great.
Leonard Kim dropping a bomb! Holy shit!
Listen, I would also take a longer cut of more of the Bat.
That's two strikes, Leonard.
I was perfectly fine with the amount of both actors. I don't mind Affleck's Batman. I
really like it. I think it might be my favorite Batman. Like,
really?
I think his suit is maybe my. I think his suit may be my favorite of all.
I don't like the nose.
I like that they made it blue now. Like Batman's really chilled out since we met him in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, sure.
But he's been through a lot of shit. He lost his best friend that he wasn't really his best friend at the time. It's complicated.
It would have been great if we just had a scene where there's like a bat bong in the Bat Cave and you realize Batman's been chilling out, smoking some weed.
Yeah.
So my only complaint about the scene with Wonder Woman, and it's not Godot's fault at all. We have firmly established how the lasso of truth works. So why did she have to explain it? I'm sorry, because it kind of ruined that whole interaction with all three men. And I would have just loved her to give like a knowing smile and then fly away.
But how great was it to hear her theme music come on?
Oh, it was very good. And man, they do that throughout. Every time the Danny Elfman Batman theme hit, I just felt my heart grow like 5 sizes. I'm like, yes.
I think a future show is gonna have to be our favorite stuff from Men of Steel all the way to the end of this Flash movie. Like just kind of talk about all our favorite stuff. I think that'd be real fun in the future because it's gonna take a while. Maybe we'll want to rewatch some stuff.
But I mean, there's shit I've never seen. I've never seen either of the Aquaman movies. I've never seen the OG.
Well, there's only one out. There's only one Aquaman out, so you have time before December.
No, I thought they'd released 2, and the third one was coming out.
No.
Oh, okay.
It got delayed so much that maybe it feels like that. So maybe
it did actually. So.
It's also kind of weird. Like, is this the end of the DCU? Does Aquaman count?
Well, I mean, until you get that end credit scene, which I'm sorry, I hated waiting around for. That scene sucked.
What scene? I didn't see a scene.
Oh, there's a scene after the credits.
There's a whole thing with Aquaman and.
You didn't miss anything. Trust me.
Oh, okay.
You didn't miss a single thing.
All right, let's get into the Flashpoint stuff. So I think we've all read the Flashpoint story in the comics, maybe.
Yeah, I actually want to compare it with the animated film because I think the animated film does a good job as well.
Yeah.
Although I was thinking about this because I know it's almost become canon now with all the various versions of this story that have been told. I kind of remember in the original Flashpoint comic that Barry goes back and doesn't intentionally save his mom. I thought
No, the big reveal is that it wasn't Zoom that did it, that it was Barry that actually did it.
oh, okay. Because I remember the end of that first issue when his mom shows up at the police station. He's like, "Holy shit, my mom's
Yeah.
alive!" Right?
Yeah, so he thinks that Reverse Flash or Zoom or whatever is messing with him again.
Okay.
But then the big reveal in the last, like second to last issue, maybe, is that he didn't do anything. He just watched Barry do everything, and Barry's the one that did it.
Oh fuck, that's right. It's all coming back.
Yeah,
Right now.
it's.
Okay. All
I
right.
really like it. I know a lot of people don't like the comic, and the movie is actually one of my favorite adaptations of a story.
I need to watch it. I haven't seen it. So
I did a review for the channel, like leading up to the Flash, because I get the clicks, but it was good. I'm glad I rewatched it too, because it's a good place. Like Clay said, we can kind of compare it a little bit. So let's get into it. So Barry goes back. I love the way he discovers the time bubble too. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
The bubble itself
was-
looks weird. I think it's got a interesting look to it. That
yeah,
It was new and different, so I enjoyed it.
Okay,
'Cause I
no,
was
that's
like,
fair.
It looked like
That's
that
fair.
there were strings of what could happen all around the room, and so that way they could perceive, like, Kara will die always.
What's that called? Is it a kaleidoscope that you put in your eye? The thing.
Oh,
it kind of look like that.
Yeah.
Like that's the fractured multiverses that you can see as they expand outward, and then you kind of get to see a lot of when you see the babies again in the bubble.
That was the bit I was kind of like, I'm not so. I mean, you just get like, again, bad social effects, like Barry's head popping through the hole. Like
that was such a weird idea to have just his head show through. But I mean, I almost feel like that was pulled right from the comics, because I think I've seen that done before.
I mean, it's very, very into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Right? Like the Spot also just kind of peeked his head in another multiverse.
Yeah, but his specific, like he had.
I feel like.
Oh, I think he may be a little delayed.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. It's. Yeah, hang on. I'll pop out and come back in.
Okay. Yeah, I'll bring you back in. So yeah, and then him getting pushed out. That's the thing that leads you to be like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" Right? Like who pushed him out? That's the main thing. And I think as comic readers, we're all assuming it was like Reverse Flash or something, and I think that was a good misdirect. Because it's not really Reverse Flash is not not the character we know from the comics. It almost feels more like that Barry ends up being more like Savitar.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, because I feel like this film did a great job. Because to me, Barry has always been the lighthearted member of the Justice League. He doesn't have that much drama. This had that much drama. And, like the Punisher tells Daredevil, like, you're just a bad day away from being me. Barry has a very thin line, because there is the darkness that when he confesses to Bruce about, his timeline and why he came in this timeline, having his mom, and then younger Barry overhearing that, like, there's a darkness to that Barry. But then the Barry who wants to completely save everyone over and over again, that becomes evil. I mean, they wrote that really well, because like Barry is a fun guy and can go dark either way. Like I love that part of the story, because last week I had tweeted that the Flash is not a great character. The Flash's Rogues Gallery is better than the Flash, but this movie proved me wrong. This movie did tell a great Flash story, and I loved it.
Try telling Wally West fans that. See what they respond.
Well, man, Clay, that was such a great way to put it, because I was really impressed by the end of the movie, how, like, the growth of each character. You see our Barry mature, right? He made basically an infantile mistake, right? He was warned by Bruce, do not go back in time.
You can
what
break
you have
everything.
faced, yeah, like what you have faced has defined who you are, and he does it anyway. And the minute he realizes he's fucked everything up, he starts maturing, right? And then you see the Flashpoint Barry, which I mean, just take from the very first moment we see him, which is him crossing the street, bopping with his like laundry bag, right? To the end of that film, where basically he's going through all the heartbreak and anger and devastation
Yeah.
that original Barry had to face with his mom dying, right? And it just literally transforms him. So
Yeah, I will say the live action version does a good job of kind of showing like when Barry realizes I broke the Justice League, like they don't get together, they don't get their
Yep.
powers and stuff. But in the animated film, it's a bigger story because there are so many. I mean, he basically creates the war between Atlantis and the
The
Amazons.
mascara. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and so it's much bigger and wilder, and I do love the fact that in the animated version they do dropped it. Grifter from Wildstorm is in that animated film, and so
Interesting.
even DC fans would be like, "What the fuck is he doing in this universe?"
a lot of the tie-ins for the Flashpoint were actually really cool. I like that we kind of touch a little bit. Well, in the animated film, we touch a little bit on Martha Wayne becoming the Joker, and just like the ripples, in which we kind of when we kind of go back to the film, because I do want to flash forward to the once Barry finally go see Bruce. That was one of my favorite
I was
scenes in the
just about to bring
kitchen.
this up.
It
Yeah.
it also it gave me vibes of like, do you guys remember when Chris O'Donnell was doing laundry with Alfred and he was like hanging his clothes very stylized? Yeah,
Yeah.
like the fighting style of that Bruce gave me
Oh
vibes of
God,
that.
yeah.
So, and then the whole spaghetti theory explanation,
Yeah.
and then
That was a
being
great explanation.
yeah, and then it being capped off with young Barry like, can I eat that? What's the cheese? And can I eat that?
Yeah, right. It's just like, and man, how did he fit that much spaghetti in his mouth? Good Lord. Like,
Yeah.
I do
He's the
want to
Flash. He's
give,
got to metabolize.
yeah, I do want to give props as well to this interpretation of an older Bruce Wayne, because I feel like just in the design of it, they went really far in a direction away from the Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne, right? He looks like aged hippie Bruce Wayne, and I really love the constant like sandals that he's wearing and the ascot. It was just really, it was a great, I think, approach to him.
Yeah.
So I know I'm lagging again. I'll hop out and come back in.
I think it's not too bad. So yeah,
it's not too
come
bad.
back.
The one thing I do like though is that Barry believes like if he goes back in time, he can fix things, and that Bruce explains it to him like Bruce already understands the multiverse and time travel, and maybe he's already looked into this. Because he was able to explain that away right away. Yeah, because
that's
he's
a
just
really
like,
good point. Yeah,
because he's like, time is not linear. You know, like
Right.
he explains that away with the spaghetti real quick, and I was like, this Bruce has time traveled or has looked for a way to time travel.
or even if it's not that, it just reinforces that Bruce Wayne is a smart guy, right? He relies on his brilliance and his wits way more
Yeah.
than his brawn. But yeah,
And-
God, that whole sequence was great. It was so good.
I also thought Anthony Machete did a really good job, and the team just like recapturing the
Yes.
feel of that, that Gotham that we know from the '89 films, aging it up obviously to more current times. But man, it looked like the mansion looked good, the kitchen looked good. As we go into the suits, and we take a look at all the suits, which a lot of a lot of that stuff was designed by like comic artists. I think Joe Quinones, like I follow him.
Oh
He
God.
did a
wow.
thing.
So it was. Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, it was funny because again, I just watched those films with my daughter, and I was really impressed at the way they recreated the look of certain rooms. But if you think of the layout in your head, it's way off, right?
Yeah.
But like when they walk in and you get basically the room that in Batman 89, it's like, oh, look, it's King of the Wicker People. You know, it's like it's that room was really
Yeah.
great. They just did such a great job.
It's the same room where Vicky Vale like kind of stumbles out when she's trying to get to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Oh,
which-
right. Yeah.
and like because
God,
they look at all you see the armors and then the mask
Uh-huh.
and all the weird shit that was like that Tim Burton put there.
Yep.
Yeah, that when I saw them walk into the room, I was like, oh, we're back, baby. And I hadn't even watched
Yeah.
the films. It just that's how iconic that imagery is, of that room. So before we get too far ahead, I do want to give a shout out to Ron Livingston as Henry Allen. I think as much as I love the first actor, who I forget his name.
Oh God,
It's
it's
Dr.
Dr.
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Crudup.
I thought Livingston was way better. Here, I'm
Is
gonna.
it
You
Billy
guys can
Crudup?
talk. Yes.
Billy Crudup. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
still
also
think John Wesley Shipp is the Flash and the Flash's dad.
Also, Maribel Verdú as Nora Allen. I think she was, first of all, that makes Barry half my people. So let's go.
She
it-
was the heart of the film.
Yeah.
Like getting his reaction to seeing his mom a few times and then saying goodbye. Like all those moments all fucking paid off because of her. Because
you
she
had
was
to
just so good.
you had to get someone that the audience would be endeared by to understand why Barry would go to such lengths to get her back.
Yeah.
And I think she did a great job. There's the scene towards the end where Barry, dressed up in the worst incognito outfit,
Yeah.
is talking to her, and like, yeah, those were just really powerful stuff that doesn't have anything to do with superheroics. Or like that's just like human. That's just human interaction, right?
Yeah.
Which is
I
really
mean,
nice.
because like for an origin story, this is really just about Barry, like thinking, understanding his powers, like
Yeah.
in a new, different way because he's training himself,
Yeah.
and he realizes what a wild card he is. Like,
Oh,
he
when-
even starts to like. I love the fact that he's like, "Oh, this is what people keep telling me."
Yeah.
I'm like,
when the ring pops out, when the suit pops out of the ring, and they just let it flop to the ground.
oh, I love that they had that joke and the payoff later because they were just it was a lot of fan service. Josh and I had confessed to that, but I don't give a shit. It was so much fun. Like if it's not fun, then why the fuck are we making it?
Right.
Like the Flash is a fun character, but it gave me drama, comedy, action. It was all good. Like my biggest complaint is we won't get another one.
Both Barrys, when they walk into the Batcave, like I think that's the expression any of us would have had if we walked into a Batcave and we saw like, the Batwing kind of coming down and like all the stuff turning on. Old computers. I like that the computers, they don't look like they're super modern.
Right.
Like Batman really at some point just stopped updating all that stuff. Hey Josh, you back?
Hey, sorry, had a.
That's all good. We're talking about like when they walk into the Batcave and they're just kind of like amazed by everything. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what we would feel like if we were to walk into the '89 Batcave.
Yep.
So like,
But
really
he
fun.
does say that Gotham's safe now. Like Gotham's one of the safest places, and this is to me. I don't know of any other Batman lore that has a safe, non-totalitarian.
Yeah,
city.
Yeah.
very important to emphasize the totalitarian aspect of it.
Yeah, because in
Well-
Kingdom Come, like Bruce has let go of Gotham because he has Bat patrols that are like
Windows Vista.
basically Iron Man suits.
But I feel like they had to say that because why else would Bruce have retired,
Yeah,
right? And I did like that because I had the same thought, Clay, but I did like that moment as well because I feel like it it really scales up the Zod invasion, right? Like you're in a world where actually things are pretty okay. You don't need the Justice League.
Bruce would retire due to more loss. Like if he lost Alfred,
Which he
Dick,
did.
Barbara. Like, imagine he takes a loss that's bigger than his parents. Like, the Bat family is just wiped out.
Yeah.
That guy retires.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't go back. I think that guy's so defeated.
He loses Marlon Wayne's Robin in this universe.
You know, I secretly wish that had happened. Like,
that would have been awesome.
That would have been cool as shit to see a Marlon Wayne show up and he goes, he's like, I finally get to wear the suit, and he's in a bat suit. Like, he's been in a Robin suit we've never seen, and he just shows up in a bat suit.
In a bat
so
suit. That would have been kick ass.
So we have 3 bat suits. We have the 89 Batman, we had the Flash suit Batman, and then we have a Marlon Wayans bat suit that would be maybe like an Arkham style one.
So it was my daughter at one point. We're watching the movie and they're at the they're doing the fight in Russia. And it was my daughter that pointed out, she like elbowed me. She's like, hey, look, he still can't move his head or his neck because he walks in and when he has to look up the tunnel, he goes like his whole like, chest. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. They didn't even fix that. I love it.
Yeah, interesting that he never addressed that. That's funny because I mean, in the Nolan movies, we see that's one of the first things he addresses.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's get to Russia. Let's talk about one of my favorite things, Sasha Calle's Supergirl. Oh man, my god,
she is great. And that is the best designed Superman costume ever. I will go to bat for it. It is fantastic. I love the look of it. It looks great on her, but it's also just a solid costume design.
Yeah. I mean,
I was just showing the suit.
Oh, I got you. Oh, so good. Look at that.
I mean, I love the classic Superman trunks, but for Supergirl, that one is by far like the best design that they've.
I think it makes sense that there's no trunks on her suit, right?
So, yeah. And I will say as well, this is another moment where the film, God, this film, it just the whole time it's teetering on the edge of collapse, right?
Yeah.
I think with anyone else playing her and not as good direction and not as good writing, her very fast development from hating all mankind to supporting all mankind hinges on that one kind of throwaway moment where they find her and Bruce is like, that's not a guy. That's not her. Let's go. Right. Yeah. And then Barry's like, no, we have to help her. And when they call that back and she's like, why did you help me? It's like, because it was the right thing to do. Right. Yeah. It works. It just fucking works. And I was bold. Like, that should not have worked. But you get it. Like it totally shows her kind of turning around. And I mean, it was great. I was really impressed by that.
Her special effects were actually some of the better stuff. Like when we first see her, she's a little emaciated, like very skinny, and then she comes out waiting the potato bag.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I think it's young Barry that grabs the suit, like to make sure, or maybe it's older Barry. I don't remember. One of the Barrys.
No, I think it's young because older Barry's carrying her.
Right,
so
right.
I think it's young Barry like grabs it. So.
And when she finally like the first time she hits the sun and she like gets her powers.
You see her hand.
So cool.
So cool. I want to address so Leonard came in the chat. It's possible we don't get Kaya Supergirl and Gunn's DCU, which is really unfortunate. I would say that having read the story that they're gonna do, Woman of Tomorrow, where we do get a little bit more of a jaded, different type of Supergirl that is closer in tone to the Supergirl that we met here. I think she could play Supergirl. So if you've read that story, and if you haven't, go read it. It's amazing. Like, it's just a fantastic story with beautiful art. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Like it is a Kara Zor-El that's a little bit. She goes out to kind of find herself because she is disappointed with kind of the world and maybe even a little jaded. So like it's not initially as this big bright. I mean, I think Kara is always kind of a troubled character because she misses home. Right, she's not like Clark that was a baby when Krypton exploded. So
and her purpose is not there anymore.
Yeah,
like her whole purpose flying to Earth was always to raise Clark, and in most universes he's already Superman, and so
Yeah.
she has to come with terms of raising herself. In this film, she has to come to terms with the fact that Zod killed a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, man, Michael Shannon, shame on you.
Dude.
But
You know what? I know he hates doing these roles, but god damn, he's so good as Zod.
He's
'Cause
so
he
good.
just
Yeah.
he brings the evil. Like he just can look at you and make you fucking terrified.
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it's really good to see him back. And also, who played Fiora?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she was
yeah.
great.
She's also back.
Yeah.
I think that was cool. Like that whole sequence, like that's when I knew.
Fights.
Yeah, that action sequence of them fighting in the desert, the first time especially because it's a more of an extended sequence, right? Both Barry's trying to teach young Barry like how to fight. He's never really been in a fight. How to use that. I did
Power.
skip over one of my favorite scenes
Like-
when Barry tries to get the powers back. The first
Oh,
time, oh my god, metal, like
yeah.
just electrocuted to shit. And then Supergirl comes back, and I think we've seen that. If you haven't seen the movie, you've seen that in the trailers that she carries him up into the sky. Very Crisis on Infinite Earths type of
Yeah.
stuff. But really cool. Like, you know, he gets the second lightning, and when they see that he's healing, like that's when you're like, all right, things are gonna happen now.
I feel like there was another cover homage somewhere in the film, and I can't think of it because when you said Crisis, I go, "Oh, they should have done a Crisis homage." But now, the Flash
Yeah.
one was, but there is another moment in there. I felt like
I think Barry also carries Supergirl when she's dead. At the first the first time she dies, I guess, in the film. Which what a ballsy move to make that. I guess we can call it like a canon event or like a thing that is like a fixed point, right?
yeah,
Yep.
That they
And
have
this is and this is why I kind of threw into our chat as we were after I saw it. I kind of feel like this movie redeems Man of Steel. I still don't like the fact that at the end of Man of Steel, that big
Oh,
fight
yeah.
scene between Zod and Clark was just about all destruction. But the reason I feel it redeems is because what this movie shows is that Clark had to kill Zod.
right.
He just did. If he didn't, the planet was dying.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of hate that, but I also respect the fact that there was a sense of, I mean, this movie really doubles down on the fact that ultimately it comes down to the fact that Barry realizes, both Barrys, they can't save this world. It is meant, like you said, Danny, it is ballsy. It's a canon event.
Yeah.
It's an atypical superhero movie where typically we want them to win and save people, and this one cannot.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of felt like it redeemed Man of Steel. He took the action he had to take to win the day.
And the fact of it is that Barry learned the lesson here, because the real problem was that Barry should have never had powers.
Oh, right.
Which means he
Right.
would have never been involved with the fight, and maybe the Earth would have still been destroyed.
Yep.
But he probably would have ended up dying with his family as opposed to being involved, right? So that's the real sequence of events that changes things. Barry getting powers is the real ripple effect that goes not so much his mom being alive, but Barry getting powers is what changes everything.
Yep.
And they gave you clues all throughout the film. I really can't wait to watch it again to kind of look at all that stuff too.
yeah.
And the fact, the first time they run back and they reset the timeline and then they still die, and they continue to do it over and over. And once the things start getting stuck to young Barry, like
Yes.
the injuries, like it clicks in your head, like, oh, this is
Savitar.
going for the worst, right? Yeah, which he very much, this Dark Flash very much looks like Savitar from the comics.
Yeah.
And even from the TV show too, like
Yep.
who was voiced by what's the name from the Saw movies? The guy from the Saw movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I hate
great
that.
voice actor as well as actor.
I did like as well how they gave you two extended sequences, right?
Yeah.
So you get the first one where shit starts going bad, and basically Keaton's Batman is like, all right, I'm gonna kamikaze this, right? I'm gonna fly into the ship.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I really thought that Supergirl was going to kick the shit out of Zod in that first sequence, and then she doesn't, right? So then they decide we're going to go back and we're going to save them. And then when they can't, getting that moment with Keaton getting just a sweet little line of, thanks for bringing me back, right? Was just,
Oh man,
it was the closure I feel like the fans needed
Mhm.
to a certain degree. I would have been really pissed if they hadn't done that.
Yeah.
I was very angry that it felt like this was, to sort of Leonard's point earlier, that this was all of her Supergirl we were going to get. I was like, no, I want more of her. She's so good.
And Josh, to your earlier point about the Men of Steel, like it showed us that Zod's knowledge of battle is what really won him, because she had him on the ropes, right? He was stuck in the ship, and he still managed to like get the upper hand because of her inexperience.
Yeah.
Same with that version of Superman and Man of Steel. Like he had only been Superman for like, I don't know, a few months tops, right? So
yeah.
So it made like all that stuff. It's kind of the same message, like reverberating throughout the universe. So also the sequence where they put their shoes together, just amazing. Like
That was cool.
they just had a lot of really cool looking stuff. I went to watch this at a screening, so like everybody was really hyped about this film.
That's cool.
That's interesting. Because see,
I miss that. I miss being in a theater with people cheering at the right moments.
Yeah.
Well, also because again, I think I told you guys. So we saw it the second weekend it was out, and I bought tickets pretty late the night before, and the 3 tickets I bought were the only tickets purchased for that screening. And by the time we went, there were maybe 15 people, including ourselves, in the theater. Like it was dead. It was absolutely dead. So I think the word of mouth had already gotten around, and people just weren't coming out to see it, which is a shame because it is so much fun. I did also just want to say I really liked, again, that battle sequence is structured so well because you see the transition of young Barry, right? The first time he fights, you get that really cool moment where they kind of blast everyone in the air and they're just punching them. And then you contrast the punching them in the face with the moment he gets the thing stuck in his arm and he just shoves it into what's her face. And it's like, again, the scales change at that moment, right?
Yeah.
And they just use a battle sequence to do that, which I thought, again, was a really smart way of doing it.
Yeah, this was essentially like older Barry teaching younger Barry, with great power comes great responsibility, but it's the whole film instead of him just
right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a really good point.
All right. So I do want to get into let's talk about the cameo. So I pulled up this article from MovieWeb, which just kind of talks about all the cameos that we see in that sequence in the time bubble when Barry and young Barry kills his old version. So of course we see Helen Slater as Supergirl. This is a movie I haven't seen. Maybe I should watch it.
Look, I will say this. It's not awful. It's not good.
I've heard the How Did This Get Made episode on it with who has what's her name? Captain Marvel. Brie Larson.
Brie Larson.
Oh, yeah,
interesting. She was promoting her podcast at the time. Also, seeing Christopher Reeves was really
this is a complex thing.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree.
I am very like Christopher Reeve doesn't know his image is being used.
Well, did they get the permission of his widow and his family to do this? I really hope they did.
I hope they did. So too. I think I don't have an issue with it as long as it's either if it's somebody that has passed, if they're just using archival footage and reusing it in there, I think that's fine because they're not misrepresenting anything that he already did, right?
Okay.
I don't remember the scene, so I don't know if it was something from the movies or it was something that they reanimated.
It looked reanimated.
It looked kind of like when they de-age people. I did want to point out, by the way, it dawned on me as I was leaving this movie that the signs of all the those 2 cameos were very clear when DC did the Superman 78 comic and the Batman 89 comic, because it's very clear they had to go back and get the rights to the images to do it. And I felt like those comics came about because they had to get them for this movie.
They had to go to Nike.
Right.
I think they're now in a lot of contracts because I read an article that like Samuel L. Jackson will mark off the shit that says that they have access to your digital image forever.
Right.
Forever.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
The only person that I know of that has agreed to that is Bruce Willis. And that's even sketchy because he did it while he was sick. So
it's Bruce Willis, but only when Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing him.
Yes.
So of course we get Momoa. This is not really during that same sequence. Also, Tamara Morrison, we get the phone call from Barry. Which
that was
really
a great
funny.
phone call, but again, like I kind of felt like it was great to see him, but a weird phone call for him to just go, and that was it.
We get to see Adam West Batman.
That was awesome.
That was nice.
When
Henry Cavill, that's at the beginning.
I do not remember him showing up.
Well, that's at the beginning. It's really not. It's not during the sequence. It's at the beginning where they show Superman's busy, and they show him Alfred's computer shows him like fighting or something.
All right.
George Reeves, Superman.
That was awesome. I really liked the whole black and white world with the black and white Jay Garrick.
I just hate that they're using the nostalgia of it. You know, like, because I don't know, it's very sketchy as fuck. That they use
I will say, George Reeves is nostalgic for a very specific group of people too. So it's not like a mass audience thing, right?
But
I think you only get nostalgic when you're old. I mean, you're not 12 going, God, boy, that Henry Cavill is a great Superman.
To Danny's point earlier, the entire sequence with Reeves is just from the opening of the show. So it's clear they weren't like generating new images of him. This was the weirdest.
We'll talk about this because this is later. We'll talk about this.
I fucking love that, and I
take it back. This is the weirdest.
This is my favorite thing.
Yes. I fucking love this.
Not only do we get to see, which I hope we get like a little animated short or something. I think that'd be lovely to get that. HBO Max, you don't have programming. You're not doing shit. Just give us the animated thing of this. This was amazing. So this is the spoiler that I heard in the comic shop. But I was still really hyped. I didn't realize how extended of a sequence was. We get to see him fight the fucking metal spider from Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Which I really love because that is the one nugget of information we all know from that unmade film because John Peters is such a weirdo about it.
Yeah.
About spiders.
And to have him fighting that fucking spider is just so hilarious.
What's the name of the documentary?
Oh, shit. I still need to watch it. I've always meant to. Superman Lives? Superman Dies?
Yeah. Yeah, go check that out. It's really good.
Where is it? I need to see it. I've always meant to.
I think it's on.
I've seen it. It's great.
I think it's on one of the free services, like Tubi or because I've seen it on Plex. I know that's usually where they get their stuff. So I think those are the bigger. We get to see a little bit of like other stuff, but it's all very CGI, like kind of like look at this world that it's in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seeing Nick Cage fight the giant spider, that made it all worth it. Like this film could have been trash, I still would have been really on board. But it wasn't trash. It was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was not the worst either.
But all that, okay, so like how much does Nick Cage get paid to have a CGI version of him fly around?
No,
because he doesn't do anything. It's just his image.
Knowing how big of a fan he is of this stuff, he did it for free. Or for the SAG minimum.
Yeah,
the SAG minimum.
All right,
I did enjoy it, but I still, if an actor is dead and has never agreed or signed off to anything or been compensated anyway, it feels weird to get entertainment from them being dressed up like this thing we used to remember.
I agree.
Although, well, counterpoint. I think Danny found the way through the hole of the needle for me, right? If they're not generating any new footage, and it's done in a spirit like this movie did it, where it is about honoring and in many ways kind of closing the book on decades of DC movies, I'm kind of okay with it, right?
Still what they did for a living, and they should be compensated for.
Oh, they should be compensated. I totally agree with you there.
Yeah.
Like pay the families, pay the estates, pay the
get those agents paid their 10%.
But I mean, but just like by the end of this film, I felt so much that it truly was a way of, all right, we're closing the book on this era.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not doing it in a way that is denying anything going back to even the George Reeves Superman, which was kind of fun, you know. So.
That's what I love the most. That this makes everything and anything DC canon. It doesn't matter, right? It's all connected via this weird. So whether it's like an old story or.
Oh, we do see like two planets start to crash together, like in Crisis.
Yeah. That's the other Crisis reference. Yeah.
That was the other Crisis reference that I was thinking.
That was cool. I wish we had seen like an Anti-Monitor or like something like, something ominous like that. That would have been cool. But yeah, I mean, that was great. And then we get the final kind of payoff is Barry decides to, like, which they set this up earlier in the film. He moved the sauce so his dad can be on camera, which is changing things but not changing that many things. And that's where we get that scene with him saying goodbye to his mom as this undercover stranger.
It's really sweet. It's a really sweet scene.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
That's what, so that even though the DC characters feel like more like, I don't know, god archetypes, it's really good to see their humanity. And I think that's what really makes them shine, right? When these powerful beings like Superman hanging out with his parents and stuff like that, like all those little details, I like a lot. So we get back, his dad is free because of the new evidence, and then we get transported to a Nescafe commercial because we pull out I thought it was gonna be Christian Bale.
I would have fucking loved if they had just said a big fuck you, and then the Bruce Wayne that gets out is Jared Leto.
That sounds like a Batman White Knight universe type of stuff.
I will tell you why I loved it being Clooney. For two reasons. Yeah. One is he has this kind of like nonchalant approach to Bruce Wayne that fits in the moment, but also just because we know notoriously he keeps a photo of him as Batman above his desk to always remind him, don't do that again, right? And so getting him was very much a kind of like, all right, fuck it, I'll come back and do it, you know?
But I love the fact that he said he would never do it again, and he goes, and I don't think the fans want me to do it again. But the way he did it was so cool that we'd love to see that kind of shit. Like,
I'll tell you this: if you give me a Batman Beyond movie with Clooney, if you can't get Keaton as old Bruce,
it's got to be Keaton.
But if you can't get Keaton because he's too busy, I don't know, whatever the fuck he's doing, I wouldn't be mad at Clooney being that Bruce Wayne.
Okay, I would, because again, to me, the Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne is not lighthearted. And Clooney, again, just has this kind of like swagger. So get Val Kilmer as the Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Val Kilmer can anymore.
I know.
But that's what kind of makes him that darker Batman is if you don't use his voice, you use a computerized voice of him. Like he's just there and adapted.
Oh wait, I didn't know. Has he had some?
Yeah, he can't speak anymore.
I didn't know that. Shit,
it's because you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick.
I have not.
I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick either, but
okay,
you both should. I think
I've heard it's really good. I mean, every single person who's seen it's like.
Were you guys not hurricane high-fiving in the '80s like everyone else?
You had to be of a certain social status to do that, and I never was.
I just stood on the beach like this and never got high-fived.
Yeah,
it's good. You gotta wind it up, otherwise people don't know what you're doing.
So I do want to give props to what I will attest is the greatest joke in the entire movie, and that is you get Clooney walking up as Bruce Wayne, which should have been like the end. And then you just get Barry going, who the hell is this guy? And then his glued tooth just falls out. And I nearly fell out of my chair at that moment. That was such a good way to just wrap things up with that fucking tooth, because oh man. Oh,
So yeah,
so
I mean, like everything hit really well. Like I don't feel like there was a
Yeah.
dead moment. I don't give a shit about fan service because it kept the movie together.
Yep.
I loved seeing every like little Easter egg. But
It wasn't detrimental to the movie to have all that fan service. It actually played in with the story,
Yep.
which is usually the downside of fan service, is that it kind of takes you out of the story.
right.
But this
Right.
story is built for fan service. Like
Yep.
if you watch the animated film, you get to see so many characters too that are like, just kind of come out of nowhere. Josh, you
Yeah,
should really watch that. I don't know if that one's for kids. It is a little.
it is dark as fuck.
It's pretty
man.
dark. Like it's pretty
Interesting,
violent. So
right.
I wouldn't sit with your daughter
The
until maybe you watch
Shazam
it the first
family,
time.
dude. The Shazam
Oh, yeah.
family.
So, but Leonard Kim, yeah, I know both of these heathens not watching one of the best movies of last year.
Yeah, you know, I don't go for the propaganda to join the military.
Hey, I'm not signing up after that movie anyway. So whatever. I just want to see Tom Cruise almost die in every sequence. For real.
Well,
You mean every Tom Cruise movie now, right? It's
Yeah.
him
Oh,
almost
I
dying
can't
in
wait
every
till that
sequence.
new Mission
Mission
Impossible.
Impossible,
That looks
yeah.
insane. But y'all should watch it. It's pretty good. And you know.
I do also want to credit the fact that, how do I say this without totally alienating Danny? If this movie had simply been fan service directed only at Snyderverse fans, it would have failed,
yeah.
right? If this had been okay, we are going to close the books on the Snyderverse, but we're only doing it in the Snyderverse, right? This would have been a fucking disaster. And I suspect that's what it was originally, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And I think once they got around to this is going to be a fan service to just fans of these characters.
Yeah.
And the legacy of them on film, it became so much better.
Yeah.
So much better.
It's okay. I got my fan service right. I got a full 4 hours of it, 8 hours if I watch both versions of the movie. It is very upsetting to me that this comment goes like over both of y'all's heads because y'all have.
I have no idea
the
what we're
movie.
talking about here. Isn't there only one? I know MLB changed the rules. But,
No. It's related to Top Gun 2022.
Okay. I'm very.
I need to
concerned.
figure out how to make y'all watch that movie.
Hey, does Top Gun 2022 have a sequence in which Tarantino shows up and talks about how all of his movies are secretly gay? Am I the only one that gets this reference? Clay might. I don't remember what movie that is. There was some indie movie from the 90s, right after Tarantino became big, and he shows up in it, and he just has this little bit of dialogue at a party where he and the person he's talking to are talking about how Top Gun is the gayest movie ever made.
Yeah, I remember
You know?
this.
God, it's got Eric Stoltz in it. Weirdly enough, why did this all
Something in the
come back
radio.
around?
It's all connected.
Fuck yeah.
I'll look it up, but I the one thing I will say that I loved about the animated film more than the live action film is the variety of villains and heroes that you get to see in the multiverse, because you get to see, like at the beginning, Yo-Yo, who is like a Harley Quinn type, but a hero, and it plays out different. And I love the
Josh,
Thomas Wayne Batman more in that one, because
I
it would have been
recommend
neat
that
to
one
see,
too.
yeah, to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan come back and play Thomas Wayne.
Okay, so did anyone else? This is the last thing I'll say about it because I know we're at time. But did anyone else have a horrible moment during the big climactic time bubble scene? Is we get all three Barrys, where DCEU Barry is realizing that they can't save this world and what he has to do. And I had this moment where, and it was specifically when Dark Flash Barry says, you're my hero. I was like, oh fuck, he's got to go back and kill his mom.
Yeah.
Right. I had this moment, I was like, oh God, they're going to do it. And then they didn't. but they skirt away from it by just never explaining who kills his mom. Unlike every other Flashpoint story, right?
Yeah, because I think originally we know that it's supposed to be Dawn in the comics, right?
And that would have just been too clunky to try and introduce him in this movie.
And in the CW show, and if you haven't seen the finale, you should go watch the last 5 episodes or the last five episodes. I think if you watch the first few things and you like the original stuff, you'll be a little lost because there's so many new characters. But
sure,
but the Barry and Iris of it all are still like it's the main focus of the story.
I hate Iris on the CW show.
Oh, really?
I there's nothing wrong with Candace Patton. I just don't feel like Barry and Iris on the TV show have had chemistry. And I felt like there was more chemistry in this film than 9 years of.
And we didn't even talk much about Iris because she's very not much in the. Kirstie Clemens, who plays Iris, she's not much in the film. Yeah. She just kind of. I will say it was very interesting how she kind of felt bad that she was being intrusive about something so personal with Barry.
Yeah,
like that was a very interesting approach to what's with these guys always just dating journalists. Maybe like date somebody in a different field, right? Superman, the same thing.
Someone who won't ask so many questions. Come on.
Yes, yeah. They like a YouTube influencer that has no care for anything else outside the bubble.
Oh God, if they ever have Superman where Lois Lane is just an influencer, I swear to God.
Well, there was an arc in the comics where Superman goes to work for Cat Grant running a website. Like they just go because he gets fired from the Daily Planet, and they just go around like this. It's kind of like a trash news website, but I mean it's Cat Grant, so like she's trying to help Clark get back on his feet.
But they already did this in the 80s when they rebooted Superman. He left the Daily Planet and went to go work for the TV news station.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. I was about to say there was no website in the 80s.
they invented the web.
We had bulletin board services, and they were awesome.
I'll go read that comic, and he's like, "Here it is."
Here it is.
Okay, let me ask you this though. This is the last Ben Affleck Batman we're getting, right?
I have a feeling maybe he shows up in Aquaman. I don't know.
Oh, well.
Okay. So we still have Aquaman coming. That would be great. I do feel like really this Batman has never gotten his due. And I think he's a great Batman when he shows up. I love that it's a little lighter so that this universe, even though it is the Snyderverse, but his Batman fights angrily and has guns. Like we see the variations of Batman in this one, but we just don't get to see Ben Affleck get to have all the cool ass, great fucking long fights and things that we miss. I'm not going to refer to Batman v Superman. I'm talking about a standalone.
Yeah. Right. But we'll always have that scene in Batman v Superman in the warehouse thing where he just kind of lands in. Like that's one of my favorite Batman action sequences. So, all right. Well, that's our thoughts on the Flash. There's probably more. We could probably keep going, but we have so much you guys don't know. Literally, I'm looking at our document. There's so much we all want to talk about because we haven't seen each other in a little while. I don't know how we're gonna get through all of it. Probably won't. We'll probably have to save some of the stuff for next week. That's the good thing about not having. I like having the no topic episodes because then we just kind of get to put all this stuff out there that we're really interested in.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, we need a little bit more focus. And Kyle's not even here. We could have gone probably the full 2 hours had Kyle been here.
Yeah, he would have dug deep into some Flash. We don't even know.
He would have taken us down every wormhole in the time bubble.
I cannot wait to see what he says about this movie.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, so let's get into it. I'll start with one thing, and then let's just do one big thing at a time, and we'll just go round robin and see how long we can kind of talk about this.
Okay.
Sure. I watched 5 Indiana Jones movies this week.
Holy shit, man!
I started last Sunday. I watched 1 and 2, and then over the week I watched 2 and 4, and then on Thursday I got to go watch the new one.
Now you had seen them before, right?
So that's what I don't remember. I knew I hadn't seen all of them.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the only one I remember clearly seeing was Crystal Skull because I went to the theater for that. But for the other ones, because I see them a lot, like in like a lot of scenes or sequences are in like those YouTube videos or like top 10 list or whatever.
Right.
I've seen a lot of that. So I think the one I hadn't seen was The Last Crusade. If
It's the best one.
so,
Temple of Doom. Temple of
Interesting.
Doom.
No, see, all right. Clay is just like my buddy Mike.
Neither of those is my favorite.
Is it really?
It's Raiders. It's Raiders.
Raiders. Okay, no, Raiders is solid.
I like Temple of Doom, especially Hee Kwan. Like Short Round is fantastic character.
Oh, Short Round's great.
It gets real weird. First of all, the first 45 minutes are really bad.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
whole musical action sequence.
Oh well, past the James Bond movie, it's really bad.
So, like when they're on the cargo plane to
Yeah, it's really bad. It's sometimes very offensive.
Yeah, that movie is.
I think I hadn't fully watched that movie. I think I'd only seen the end of that movie.
It's my
'Cause
least
I don't
favorite.
remember
Well,
any of that.
it's my least favorite.
And Crystal Skull sits
No,
above
that's
that.
not my least favorite. I think
Crystal Skull's
Skull's
my least favorite.
Even with the new one.
I'm not a fan of the Temple of Doom. I love Last Crusade. Love it.
Me too. The whole
Yeah.
like the relationship with his dad, like all that stuff.
So good. But I want to know, how's the new one? I really want to go.
I had a really good time.
Okay.
I think it's really fun. It captures everything from the old movies, and then it I will say it's a little long. There's one sequence in the middle. I don't need to I really feel like you took it out and completely took it out, it wouldn't affect the film.
Okay.
And then I think what's being divisive is they make a choice, like a really, really strong choice, almost like the Flash made a choice in this film towards the end. The film makes a choice that's very strong, and if you're not on board with that, I don't think you're gonna enjoy this movie. I think that's where the negative criticisms are coming from for the most part. But I really appreciate, I like nonsense and weird shit, and I really appreciated the choice that they made. And Harrison Ford really feels like he's on board for this one, like not like in Star Wars that he was just kind of there.
I know.
This one, I think he really like the kids say, put his ass into it.
He's always liked playing Indy 1,000 times more than Han Solo.
And then also because I had just watched the first 4 movies, I think I was really primed for this one too. Because I mean, you can kind of tell James Mangold's a big fan of the previous ones. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Like it's a little bit long. That was my main complaint because it's like almost 2.5 hours.
So does he reverse on his this belongs in a museum statement with the way the times have changed? Because
that's fascinating. Well,
I'm curious to see if Indy's going to go out as somebody who is taking from other cultures or is returning to other cultures.
Oh, interesting. I won't go into that detail because I think that could lead to very spoilery stuff. Just that whole conversation. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. Like I'm glad I went to see it, and I'll make a video of my thoughts on all the indie films, then put them in order to piss you guys off.
2, 1, 3. That's the order. Crystal Skull doesn't exist.
You know, that one is not as bad as you think.
It's not. I agree with Danny. Go ahead. Well, I enjoy Crystal Skull, and I enjoy it also for the fact that, like 2, it doubles down on its pulp origins, right?
Yeah.
So you get this kind of like sci-fi kind of pulp combination. It's not my favorite, right? To me, but I don't hate it as much as everybody else hates it to a certain degree.
I think for me, it's Shia LaBeouf, and I don't hate him as an actor or as a person or anything.
I do not like him.
I feel like he's given this incredible fucking role, and it's not really a good.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were going to pass the torch or what it was going to be.
That was definitely
going to pass the torch or pass the hat. That
was definitely the plan because that's what you see at the end of the movie. But going into the film, knowing all the twists and like the bad stuff on it, like especially the big CGI ending, like knowing all those things are coming, like really put my viewing into perspective, and I just kind of focus on the more fun parts. Like the opening scene is great, like all the action sequences are great. I think oh, what's her name? Uh, she
Phoebe
plays
Waller
the
Bridge.
no
Oh.
in Crystal Skull.
Karen
Oh,
Allen.
oh, yes.
No, she plays the bad. Not
Kate Blanchett.
Kate
Kate
Blanchett.
Blanchett. I think
Yeah.
she's a great caricature of a villain.
I
Which
do
is
forget
amazing.
she's in that, so that does bring it up a little bit.
Well,
Uh,
and I like Crystal Skull because it brings back. I'm blanking on her name.
yeah, Marion.
Marion.
Marion
Mhm.
Ravenwood.
And I love their interactions together. They are
Yeah.
so good.
And
The thing that ruins Crystal Skull is I agree with you, Clay. Shia LaBeouf. I do not like him
and
at
the
all.
thing is, if you go in knowing that it's his kid and you see their interaction, and then you think about the Last Crusade and how
Oh,
how Harrison Ford maybe wishes he could have had a different interaction with his dad this whole time.
okay.
Like just that frame of
holy-
mind.
dude, you
it
totally
changes
reframed that movie for me. All right,
Because
I'm
he
gonna go
fully,
rewatch it.
after he finds out that he's his kid, he
Yeah.
fully treats him like a whole different person. He treats him like he doesn't want to let what happened with his dad happen between them.
Oh, fuck.
But Shia
I
LaBeouf
gotta
doesn't
rewatch
care.
it now.
Like,
All right.
to
Okay.
him, Indy's a stranger, right? His dad is the guy that raised him. So
Yeah.
like it's really interesting. And I had, like I said, I had a good time. I think I gave it like 3 stars on Letterboxd, which is still like overall not a bad movie. Leonard Kim's right. I think it just gets too much fun, too much hate. It's a fun movie. I mean, the guy survives a nuclear assault in a refrigerator.
Okay, I will tell you, I thought of that exact scene when Barry puts the baby in the microwave in The Flash. Like the thing I thought of was, oh, it's like when Indy gets in the refrigerator. So.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great to revisit the franchise and just kind of watch all 5. It was, I understand why people love these movies as much as they do. And why they get mad when maybe they're not as good as they think. So I also feel like this one's getting a little bit of undue hate. Like I don't know what the fuck is wrong with people, but like I think the scores went back up. But this started at 55% after it debuted at Cannes. It's up to like 68 with the critics, but the audiences I think are really enjoying it. So I think you will like this one when eventually it'll be on Disney Plus for sure. So
And you don't have to say anything, but like specific. But do they explain away mutt in this movie?
everything in the franchise is addressed from
Interesting. Okay.
as they say from suit to suit to nuts or whatever the expression is.
From soup to nuts. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
you.
I think that's one of the reasons this movie's so long because they really want to kind of tie everything. This is a great send off, I think, for the franchise.
Great. Okay. Awesome.
I just can't believe that they're ever going to let a franchise die. Like I feel like this is going to be rebooted within the next.
It's
3
the rebooting
years.
I'm worried about.
So
Yeah.
I would watch Phoebe Waller-Bridge continue the series somehow.
Dude, I have a huge crush on
Great.
her. I'll watch her in anything.
She's great. She's also like she's very tall, so like you like her character, the way her character is, her physicality really would like all the action sequences would also really look very cool. Like if she kind of just went off on her own. Yeah, I don't know. I really had a good like the more I talk about it, the more I get hyped for the movie. Like maybe I liked it more than I thought I did. So but that's the one thing I wanted to touch on. I'll let you guys Clay, we'll go with you and then we'll go round the round. So pick your best, pick fire on all cylinders here because we don't have a lot of time.
Okay, this is actually going to be a weird crossover, but I saw Fast 10 and I binged watched the Pete Davidson show Bupkis. So I will tell you this though, Bupkis is pretty freaking great. I mean, it's Pete Davidson serializing and satiring his life as a celebrity, a drug addict, having mental issues. I will say the second episode of the series is Emmy worthy. It is that good, and I will say the 4th episode is my favorite and probably one of the funniest things because it is Pete Davidson. He's going to audition for the Fast and Furious movies, but they're worried about his drug problem. So they ask him to go down to entertain Vin Diesel on a yacht, or his daughter.
Huh.
And so the whole episode becomes a Fast and Furious episode. And it is greatness. It is so funny if you're a Fast and Furious fan. It's funny if you're Pete Davidson thinking, oh, what the fuck would he be in Fast and Furious? And then he shows up in Fast 10. He does have a part in it. And it was like, holy shit. It was great.
You know, it's funny that Pete Davidson has this niche of like, I'm just gonna use my own life as an inspiration for my work, because his movie The King of Staten Island is also kind of about his own personal experience losing his dad on 9/11, and like this is also him dealing with all this other stuff. Really, I mean, good for him to, I guess, also kind of work through his stuff via, doing stuff like this. Really interesting niche for his performances.
Yeah, that fourth episode where he does a Fast and Furious episode has Simon Rex, who is, if you remember him from, he was an MTV VJ back in the day, and he plays this guy Crispy, and it is the funniest character I have seen in television. I mean, he is weird and hilarious, and I hope they find a way to bring him back, because that was one of my home run episodes.
I can hear the kids Googling MTV VJ.
So if you have Peacock, Bupkis, like I said, episode 2, that's an Emmy winner. That episode was that good. Episode 4, the funniest episode of the series, but it's still pretty funny and weird. It has Brad Garrett, it has Joe Pesci playing his grandfather, Edie Falco plays his mom. She is great. I mean,
she's always good.
She's always good, but man, like, she's really great as his mom in this.
Nice.
But yeah, and Fast 10, fucking fantastic. I mean, just insane, too long, too much focus on Vin Diesel. The story's out of whack. The physics don't work. It's a Fast and Furious movie that's amazing.
What did you think of the change to John Cena's character?
It worked out great.
Excellent.
It was weird because it was like, there's this movie about, like, Jason Momoa, who is the fucking best Fast and Furious villain ever. Like, I hate that Vin Diesel's upset about his overacting, but if you want to get who Jason Momoa is pulling from, he is playing Frank Gorshin's Riddler in a Fast and Furious movie.
Oh, wow.
That's what I see, because he has purpose, but he's insane. He's great and hilarious, and he's talking to himself and narrating. It's just, he's so good.
And I liked it.
It is just you get to ridiculous moments that are pure Fast and Furious. Yep. But I mean, because there's like a lot of stuff that just, like, I want to get mad about, because they still haven't addressed Han was supposedly killed by Jason Statham's character. They finally meet up in this, but they don't work it out of like, hey, you tried to kill me. And
I mean, to be fair, they try to work it out, but they were rudely interrupted.
Do they kiss?
You know what? They should have.
Exactly.
Because that would have fixed, like, that would have been a better solve and more efficient than everything that happened in the show.
Yeah, because what's weird is, like, before they go meet Jason Statham, Han eats a muffin that he gets from Pete Davidson that is like a hallucinogenic that it never pays off later. Like, there's just one moment where Han realizes the world is shifting and moving, but keeps eating. I
feel like there's a scene that got cut out in between that, like that, and the next scene.
Yeah, there must have been, because it's weird. Like, you're facing down the guy who supposedly killed you, but you're saved by Mr. Nobody. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is Alan Richardson. I totally forgot that he had played Aquaman. So you have two Aquamans in this movie with Jason Momoa and Alan Richardson, who he's great. I dig this guy. This guy's over the top and insane. He has this virtual office that, like, Brie Larson walks into, because she's part of this secret agency. It's a shadow government agency, and all Alan Richardson has are clips of the old movies.
It's like he was at DC Fandom. The first one that was all digital. Yeah, he was in that set.
And it's so funny
my
because
God.
he's explaining to her, like, these guys could just get into cars and do anything they want. So we always got to make sure they can't get into a car. Like, he's just explaining, like, now they're the bad guys.
He's catching up. He's doing the work that Josh needs to watch this film. Instead of watching all the other ones, he's just telling you what you need to know.
So you're saying I can just watch that one sequence?
You really
one
can.
Character. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
There's two more. There's two more coming.
Oh, and then there's just like Helen Mirren shows up for a scene that she does totally in a car. Like, she steals some shit, gets in a car, and then Dom's like, it's just insane. But it's like they cram everyone in.
I feel like because I'm this person, if you sat me down and said, okay, Fast and the Furious, acclaimed actor Helen Mirren, they go together like peanut butter and chocolate. Like, I cannot fathom this. I just can't do it.
I mean, think about it. Like, she also hosts Documentary Now. Like, she does a lot of weird different things.
She
but
was just in Shazam.
Yeah, which I still need to watch.
She's living her best life right now.
And she should be. She should be.
Yeah, Helen Mirren can get it. She's awesome.
All right, Josh, give us your.
I got two fast ones. No pun intended.
I like that I told you guys to do one at a time, and both of you are like, "No, fuck you. We're gonna talk about two things."
Well, mine are super short. So one is I didn't have this in the doc. I'm continuing for the first time ever in my life to watch the new It's Always Sunny episodes as they drop. And this week's is a super fun one if you haven't seen it, which has guest stars Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. But what's really happening here, which I find so funny, is the whole joke is it is a meta joke about celebrities creating alcohol brands, which if you think about how close McElhenney is to
Ryan Reynolds,
right? It's very clearly a kind of like, joke at his expense.
Yeah.
It's a fun episode. It kind of feels like classic Sunny because it's just the gang coming up with a ruse, and of course they do not they don't pull it off well. Let's put it that way. There's all these little inside jokes that are super funny. I don't want to ruin one, but one of them is the fact that is the show that every cast member of the gang associates Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul with, and it's not the one you're thinking of. So you've just got to watch it. It's a really good running gag.
Is Bryan Cranston in Grand Theft Auto?
I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. Just watch it. It's really funny. The other thing is, and this is kind of sad news, but Alan Arkin passed away yesterday. And so in honor last night, I sat down and watched The Rocketeer, which I know I've talked a lot about on this show.
We did a full episode on it.
Yeah, I know. For the first time ever, I got my daughter to watch it with me. And she was, I think her entire review when we got done was, it's fine. It's not as good as you say it is, which is totally fair. I totally get that, because I think for the first time watching it, I realized and I've always loved this about it. It has a very classic Hollywood tone and approach. So if you contrast it with like The Flash, which is like genuinely funny, The Rocketeer is just, it relies a lot on how great the cast is.
Yeah.
And just Bill Campbell is just this like bright-eyed puppy dog, kind of Cliff Secord. Everybody in that cast is pitch perfect. And for the first time ever watching, I realized if they had made this with an entirely different cast, it would have bombed. You needed that exact cast for this movie to work. But
do you know anyone who almost played the Rocketeer?
I don't. That's a great question. I have no idea. I'm gonna look into that. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
kind of curious.
I'd
I
be
mean,
curious to see.
I feel like unless Bill Campbell was the very first actor that they saw for it, and they just held up a drawing of Cliff Secord from the comics and holy shit, we got the guy, right?
You know,
Somebody had to have auditioned for it.
it's
so.
funny, but I feel like that would have also been like an Eric Stoltz time that he could have auditioned for
That's
it.
exactly. I was thinking Eric Stoltz. I was thinking, who played the Phantom?
Billy
Zane.
Zane.
Billy Zane. Like I feel like Billy Zane probably went out for it. Like I mean, and Bill Campbell was a nobody at that time. I mean, I think the only other thing he had done was Tales of the City, which was just before The Rocketeer.
What year is Rocketeer?
91.
Okay, yeah, because he did Singles after that, I think.
Oh, I forgot he's in Singles.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
in
he's
Singles.
He's the guy who's developing the train system, and then he has like the meltdown, and he just stays in his.
No. You're confusing him with that's oh fuck! It's Peter Parker's dad from the Garfield movies.
Oh, the okay.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. Fuck! Why am I blinking his name?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
no, because like really the only
Campbell Scott.
Campbell Scott, yes.
I'm totally wrong.
Yo, you did Bill Campbell Scott, is what you did.
What a fun reference.
But anyway, God, that I love the Rocketeer so much. It's so good.
I think I'm gonna re-release our Rocketeer episode tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
In honor, people can check that out. So stay tuned for that.
I feel like I'm the this is just insight into our family. We start to watch the movie, and I said, "Oh, I wanted to watch this because Alan Arkin died." And when he showed up, I'm like, "Yeah, he's Peavy." And my daughter's looking like, "You know him as the grandfather from
Little Miss Sunshine."
Little Miss Sunshine, right? Which Hazel saw years ago. So,
oh, that's
he's also great in the original In-Laws.
Oh, I've never seen that.
The original In-Laws, him and I believe Peter Falk.
That's why that clip from Little Miss Sunshine was going around on TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he tells her like that she asked him if like, am I pretty?
Oh yeah, God, such a sweet scene. Anyway,
God, that movie is so fucking good.
It is.
I would probably rewatch that this weekend actually.
You know, I did not realize that was Paul Dano in that movie. Like, I'm like, holy shit, it's the Riddler. Like, as I like rewatched it recently.
That is a fantastic segue for what I want to talk about next, which is some comics for the week. I'm going to show you guys some comics, including the one that Paul Dano is writing.
I want to read this.
I'll go through this real quick.
So there's only one more. This is Riddler, year one, number 5. Paul Dano, Stevan Subic. So this issue is really cool because it's all just the notebooks that we find from the.
Okay, so it is his Riddler then from the Batman.
Yeah, it is the one from the Batman.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just thought he was writing.
You know when they find all the journals?
Yeah.
This is just a look into the journals.
Dude, holy shit! I need to get this. That's amazing.
They also have it like just look like you can't read it, but this is all just right. Like the whole issue is that until like the last few pages, really, and then the covers are really cool. Like they really overdid it with these. I picked up this reprint. This is the issue after when Stacy dies.
I almost got that. Yeah.
Also, unfortunately, Vanish has come to an end for now.
Really?
Ryan Stegman, Donny Cates, VK Marion. But check out this Daniel Warren Johnson cover.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God.
I am really hyped for his upcoming Transformers book.
Me too. I hope I hope Skybound sends us those actually ahead of time so we can actually like read them and do full videos on that.
Yeah.
Warren Johnson also has a story in this Darth Vader for this week, the black, white, and red. Mark Bernardin has a story on this one, and then Jason Aaron's story continues. Really cool stuff. My pick of the week, though, Christopher Chaos, the oddly pedestrian life of Christopher Chaos.
I almost picked that up.
Oh,
is it good?
So I'll send you the review PDF, Josh.
Well, of course it's so good.
Yeah, I want it to.
It's your pick of the week. Guys.
Yeah, I got to talk to the creators at Fan Expo, and I already had the review copy, so it was really cool. And then the last thing, William Tolliver, local artist, was at Sanctuary. He was doing like he was just doing like sketches and stuff, and I got this
Nice.
Jetfire, I think he has multiple names, but Jetfire,
Jetfire. He was Steel
Skyfire, yeah.
from Robotech, right? So
For you G1 nerds, but it's on the Void Rivals
G1 nerds.
So yeah, very excited for all
Kyle.
that. Yeah, I know Kyle should have been here. He would have freaked out about that cover. But a lot of good comics this week. Go check out on the channel. We have a bunch of reviews. Night Terrors starts next week, so that's kind of a mixed bag. But I'll be covering it on the channel. So, Clay, what else you got? I think we can go around maybe 2 more times, and then I do want to.
Oh, I can just do all my comics when you hit me and
yeah, we could do them real quick.
Yeah, I was just going to go through quickly. I'm going to get to the truth of this. This is
so funny.
This is at my library for sale, and I was like, okay, well, it says story by David Ayers, so this should be like what he did. This is adapted though by Marv Wolfman.
Oh, cool!
Wow.
Yeah, so very cool. I'm excited for
the
that.
Ayer cut.
Huh?
The Ayer cut.
The Ayer cut, exactly. I doubt that it goes back to Will Smith a lot. So
I'm already not on board with that cover. Wait, what's going on?
Okay, so I was gifted this, and you get this, and you go, "This is uncomfortable." We've got a lot of hate. What? This was written by, and I don't. My father-in-law gave me this. He pitched in on the Kickstarter. The guy who wrote this is a Harvard professor who took the what if angle if January 6th succeeded.
Wow.
And so like, I know everyone goes like, that's a dark premise. I don't want to really read it, but we all watch Black Mirror. We know how Black Mirror turns out every time we watch it. This is fucking Black Mirror. Wow. This is like, yeah, it's really dark. It's like basically, what if happens and like militias are just become the police. And the funniest kind of it's not very funny. It's very dark the whole time. But there is like this scene where they showed the White House and it's got this gold foil over the dome that just looks trashy as shit. But it also has like the story of a father who was at January 6th, whose son dies, who knows a whole different history to it that kind of hooks you and brings you in because he wants to tell his story, but he's caught between these people who are running the world and the real truth that exists. And the last page is really cool because the thing that they end up, these freedom fighters are looking for are the electoral ballots from the last election.
Oh.
And it's like how real history and real documents would matter. Let's see here. Had to get Howard cover for Black Panther number 1 so that we know that it's pronounced Wakanda. Let's see here. I'm digging the Groot solo story.
Okay.
Because we know Groot is supposedly a god, but this tells of a baby Groot who grows up with 2 other tree-like entities.
Who's writing that?
Dan Abnett, who basically Abnett and Lanning wrote the bulk of what became the Guardians history that's used in the movie.
I just read the Wild Trees series. Was it Wild Trees? I think it's by Dan Abnett's back by Boom. I think.
It might be. Hit up
Wild Ends. It's called Wild Ends from Boom Studios.
Shelby's got me hooked, so I went ahead and started. I'm going to read the entire run of Squirrel Girl because she gave me a few issues to read because it was focused on Craven and how he has a Cravan. And so it was too good. Like there are details, they're like stuff written in, it's like an old magazine with like little details, little notes, editor's notes. Every page has a commentary at the bottom.
Look,
I'm just gonna reread the whole.
If you tell me the Cravan shows up in the Craven movie, I will go see it.
I'm all in for that. Starting Mark Waid's run on Daredevil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's a good run.
And then was able to score these books on the cheap. An Essential Hulk run. But the best thing about this has 2 Harlan Ellison written Hulk stories.
Holy shit, really?
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know he ever wrote Hulk.
I didn't. Yeah, that's news to me.
but he actually opens up the Hulk episode or the Hulk issue with, "I have a mouth and I need to scream."
Wow, stealing from himself. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have never read The Forever People by Jack Kirby. This was at Ollie's for like $7.99. The whole run.
I need to start going to Ollie's now that we have them. I went to one in Florida years ago.
But yeah, that's the comics that I've read. I'm not really happy with. So
name them. Name them.
Star-Lord Volume 3 Grounded. It's a Chip Zdarsky story, but it's a 6-issue run where Star-Lord's on Earth, and so he has a lot of team-ups with it. But it's just, I don't know. It wasn't funny, hilarious Chip Zdarsky or really Star-Lord. It just felt like it was, I don't know, meh. Captain America and Batroc the Leaper is like an old Kieran Gillen story standalone, which is great because it's told from Batroc's side, who is just, this fabulous French terrorist. And so he talks about how he puts on the terrorist idea and how he just, behind the scenes, he's just a fun-loving guy. So it was a fun read, but The Daughters of the Dragon was supposed to be a Comixology standalone. It was going to be digital only, which is bullshit because they're still going to sell the print edition. They eventually did sell the print edition, but I finally got a chance to read this. What an utter piece of shit. You know what? If you're going to say, hey, we've got this exclusive thing that's going to be digital only, finish the comic. The first issue had art in it that looked unfinished. Faces looked different. It's a Jed MacKay book, so
I was just looking at the team and I was like, oh, yeah, wow, I can't believe that it's bad.
But when you look at that art, you're just like, it just pulls you out of everything. It's so bad.
Okay, yeah, the cover of the third one looks pretty bad.
But when you're going panel by panel, because like I've had to adapt to that Marvel
the guided view
app. Just what a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, that app sucks too. I have to Comixology's not syncing my Marvel redeems anymore, and I gotta read them on the. I can't even read them on a desktop anymore. Like if I wanted to read my comics on a desktop, because Marvel doesn't have a desktop app, it makes you go to the.
So weird.
Yeah, don't buy digital. It's just a shit.
The world sucks.
Which is so sad because until Comixology like shit the bed,
yeah,
it was a totally viable way to read new releases and back issues and shit. Now it's just like fucking Amazon ruined it.
I hate that they were like selling this as this is going to be a Comixology exclusive, and there's nothing exclusive in sales. People want to make fucking money. They're not going to just say, "Hey, we're going to put it here." It eventually went to print. And they sold it that way too, because I saw it in my shop, and I hate when they try to make something like it's only going to be available for a limited time, but it's always available. You're always going to let people buy it. You want money, right?
Right.
And finish the book before you make a big deal about it. Like that first issue is really trash, and I'm not really like picking on the artist. It just looks like it was rushed, unfinished, because there are pages in the other issues that look fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are my comics.
All right. I have not yet picked up my books from this week, so everything I have is from last week.
Ooh, old comics.
Yeah, exactly. Hellcat #4.
Yes.
I'm still enjoying it a lot. I feel like I went into this blind. I had not read any recent Hellcat stuff. It's just bordering on I'm confused as hell, right? Like they do a fine job explaining sort of what's happening, but I'm still very confused. So, but still a fun read. I love the art. I love the murder mystery angle. That's always a catch for me. This book, I Am Iron Man, continues to be great. I love it so much. And this is the first issue of this, the first 3 issues were very much like Iron Man is this like this is why he's a hero. This is the first one that by the end of it, you go, this is why he's flawed. And I really respect them for finally tackling that, right? So each issue takes place in a different era of Iron Man. And this one takes place, this was news to me, when he was head of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so it's right, I think it's right after Civil War or right before.
Yeah.
Is it right after? Okay. So it really, like, it has this chilling final panel that again isn't setting up any ongoing story. It's more about Tony Stark as a flawed person. And it's really great. I'm really loving this series. This is the series. I mean, I love what Duggan is doing in his Iron Man series right now. But if someone was just like, I really like Iron Man, what do I read? I would just hand this to them and be like, each issue is a standalone story, but you get all these different aspects of like Iron Man as a character. And I love it. It's great. I always mispronounce their names, so I'm going to apologize in advance to the creators. But they are, I have to find, here it is. The writer is Marewa Ayadel, and then the artist is Dotun Akanda. And actually, this is an issue I would also say read at the very end. They always do a good job. They have like a brief kind of postscript, and they always write about what it is they love about the character and how it ties into the issue. This one's really great because the writer talks about how at a period in college, he kind of met a new group of people, changed his life for the worst. And the one person that stuck with him was the artist of this. I guess they've been like lifelong friends, and they're doing this book together. It's just, it's a great book. It's really,
nice.
It's really fun. Anyway, some stuff. I continue to buy Dead Romans just for the art. I really like. I just flipped through it.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I don't give a fuck what's happening in the story, which is a shame because I like ancient Roman shit. But I'm just like, nah.
I'm gonna give it another chance once it's collected.
Same here,
because I think it'll read better. If I'm gonna sit through a history lesson, I think it'll be better if I do it all at once.
I would say this is a terrible history lesson, if I'm being honest with you. But the art is great. This one I picked up entirely based on the cover alone. Tales of Suspense, issue 1, Lamort 13 and Dreamweaver. This was described when I picked it up as, do you remember like the old comics and the books where you would have a story in the front and then you would turn it around and flip it over and there'd be a story in the back? Yeah. It's like that, but you don't flip it. It's just two stories.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. And, that's a roundabout way of saying there's 2 stories in this book.
Yeah, you're right. Well, because when I read the description online, it described it as like a flip book. And so when I went to buy it, I did this. Like I had this, I'm like, oh cool, let me turn it around and flip it over. And then I opened the pages and I'm like, what, wait, it's upside down. What the fuck? You know? So but no, I have no thoughts about it yet. I still need to read it. But okay. I love the cover is just great. That cover. I want a poster of that. It's cool.
It is nice. Yeah. Did you get to check out the Pathfinder book?
The Starfighter one.
Oh, sorry, Starfighter.
Yeah, no. I did. I started to read through it, and then I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna buy it. So I'm gonna pick that up this week.
Okay, it does kind of suck too. Like it's got the review.
It's got the big watermark. Yeah, and I was trying to read around it, but
we do appreciate Dynamite sending us those things.
Absolutely, please. And then I'll just say my pick of the week continues to be Saga.
Oh,
65. Oh, God damn it. Ends with yet another shocker. And it kind of ends if you've been reading Saga up to this point, like I have, it ends with a sort of shocker that you're like, fuck, they're going on another year hiatus, right? So the very first thing that he says in the letter column at the end, he's like, we're not going on break. Don't worry. Like he knew that's how everyone was going to react. But this is the kind of moment that I think makes Saga so wonderful, because the shocker is one how do I say? I don't want to spoil anything at all. The shocker is one that inverts what we typically expect of the natural arc of the story.
Oh, okay.
Right? It kind of flips that on its head. Anyway, it's great. And
now all I'm thinking is like, oh, so instead of kicking me in the balls, they're gonna kick me in the head. Got it. Because that's usually what
no,
happens at the end of the arc.
It's gonna do both.
Okay.
That's a good way to put it.
Is it the last issue of the arc then?
It feels like it.
Okay, like if they would collect the because I lost count, so I don't know if the next trade is this where it's gonna end. You think?
I definitely think so. Yeah, because where it ends is sort of like a not a stopping point, but it's like it's very clear, at least for Hazel and her family, they're on to new ventures. Let's put it that way. So
okay, because I read Saga in the trade usually, and that like they have very clear kind of like stopping.
This will most likely be the end of a trade.
Okay.
They also do a thing I kind of don't want to show you because it is spoilery.
Yeah, don't.
I won't. But the way that Vaughn and Staples structure this issue, you get this really cool thing where on one page, one storyline's happening, and on the facing page, another storyline's happening. It does that for like half the issue. And it's so subtle, it didn't even hit me until like I got done. It's like, oh fuck, I see what they did there. So anyway, God, Saga is so good. I love it. Why is it not a prestige TV show yet? Right.
I really think it's just because they don't want it to be. Like they've said before that that comics should be the only format for this story. Who knows, right? I mean, hopefully that's
I wonder
if
Vaughn feels a bit burned by Y, The Last Man as well.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, it's not. I don't think that's the only show that they've that because I think what was the other Paper Girls also got canceled after the first one.
Right.
So
and again, I've heard good things about both shows. Like I don't think
I was enjoying Y. The only reason I stopped is because it got canceled. So like, why would I already read the comic. I wanted to see how they would change the story.
Right.
So unfortunate. All right, let's do recommendations real quick, and then we have. I want you guys to watch a trailer at the end, but we'll cut off with that.
Okay.
So I'll start with recommendations. Last Sunday or last Saturday actually, we had book club at Boomerang, and we read Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walters' Sentient from
You're
TKO.
gonna read it again in December, my friend.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what? It's worth it. This book is so good.
I'm so glad to hear that.
It's so good. So yeah, highly recommend it. So I guess you guys will read it when we get closer to December. But
yeah,
if you're not part of the Dallas Comic Club, read it now. Go check it out. I think I want to hunt down. Maybe I'll hunt down the hardcover version by December, so I can bring it to Comic Club.
I've got the special slipcase single issue edition.
I think I have the trade, and I'm sure I read it digitally on Comixology. So like I know I bought it during one of those like $2 for the trade sales or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, TKO has some good stuff. I think Josh talked about what was the one with the witches called?
The Witches of World War II.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation. If you're looking to read DC's new Night Terrors event thing that's happening, I'll probably make a separate video for that on telling you how to read it, and if you need to read everything, you don't. Spoilers. So, all right, Josh, what's your recommendation?
So I stumbled upon this book at at Barnes and Noble, and then I went back, and every now and then at Barnes and Noble, you know, if you're at the cafe, they'll have like a book there, and if you buy anything in the cafe for $5, you can get the book. And on a whim, I picked this up, and I cannot put it down. It's called The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. And what I really love about this book is it's like a lower key Stranger Things, if you will. And I almost hate describing it that way because I feel like people go into it thinking it's far less horror and even like real ghosts and goblins and shit. And it's much more about growing up in the 80s and not understanding all the adult stuff going on around you. And what I really love about this book is it never expressly says it's in the 80s, but there are so many clues. Like, for instance, one of the kind of side characters is a guy that has started a video store called It's Beta ! And they make a point about the fact that he doubled down on beta as the better medium, and his business is failing because of it, because everyone's like, we only have a VHS player. It's also set on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls. It's just, I mean, it's a super short book. I have like maybe 40 pages left, and I just bought it last week. Just a delightful read. It's a really, I say delightful, it's a really, really good book that when it gets horrific less about, I think, the way Stranger Things does, which is really horrible occult shit is going down, and it gets horrific more about just human nature and like broken people. So anyway, really good book. Saturday Night Ghost Club.
Nice.
Oh, and what's really, sorry, one last thing I'll point out. What's really funny, I'd never heard of this author before, and apparently he's way more, this is like more his, this is his real name, literary kind of writer. He's much more famous because he writes horror books under a pseudonym. And his pseudonym is, I had it.
Joe Hill.
No, it's not Joe Hill. Nick Cutter. Does that ring a bell to anyone? Okay.
I don't read books.
I thought Clay might know.
The name Cutter for some reason, but I can't associate it with any book.
I mean, that's a cool name. Good name
It's
for
cool. So anyway, sorry, that's it.
All right, Clay, what do you got?
Okay, I'm bringing three things. I'm bringing comics, TV, and a movie.
Breaking all the rules.
All the rules.
So I just finished Minor Threats, which is Jason Blum and Patton Oswalt's take on basically their version of the Rogues. It's a Dark Horse book, but the whole pitch of the story is, remember when the Joker beat Robin to death? Well, in this universe, their version of Batman is unleashed, and he's going through the criminal community looking for the man that did this. And so they're like these D-listers who are trying to live through the experience, sort of say. And one of the main character is a daughter of a toy man type character. So a lot of references. I mean, it's a fun take because you're getting Patton Oswalt's view, and he's been a long time comic fan. But Minor Threats is a great read. I went through the whole season 2 of The Bear. It may be better than the first season.
I need to watch this show. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's really good.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's an Emmy-winning episode that is their family having it's a flashback of their family holiday, and Jamie Lee Curtis is in it.
Wow.
Who else? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the guy that played Nobody.
Oh, Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk's in it.
Oh.
And they have a brother who has passed away, but in the story they go to flashbacks to him because it's the Punisher.
Which one?
Barenthal.
Yes, John Barenthal.
Okay.
So it's neat because John Barenthal, like, I mean, we've seen him play so many different types of characters, a lot of like comic book type characters. The character he plays in The Bear is fucking amazing. And when they do these flashbacks with him in it, it is very, it reminds me in a sense of the Starman books when they would bring his brother back. Yep. But as opposed to him like having a conversation with a ghost, it's usually an old story, and it's always great.
Yeah, it's great. I watched all. I think it's like about 5 hours, like in the same day.
Yeah, it's not that long.
The episodes are short. It's 10 episodes, but they're like, I think the family episode is the only one that's like an hour long. Everything else is like around 30 minutes. Season 1, they're also all 30 minutes, and that one's only 8 episodes.
Yeah, and they focus on different people each time and their journey and their journey with food, which is amazing.
And if you've ever worked at a restaurant, like even if it's not like a fancy restaurant, like you'll kind of know, you'll get a little bit of like the pressure and the frantic pace of the show. I do have a full video of talking about season 2, so if y'all want to go check that out, just on the channel. But yeah, I also recommend that.
Yeah, not a bad episode in the bunch. It's just really, really good. And last, I caught this on Hulu. Came out last year with not a lot of hoopla, but Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad stars in this movie called The Apology. And it had Janine Garofalo, who I hadn't seen do a movie in a while. And I was like, well, those are two people I enjoyed. Let's check this out. Fucking intense.
Really?
If you want to see a movie that is so intense, and this is one. This is not one you sit and watch with your phone because it gets pretty gritty. And it is really good because it's such a small cast. I enjoyed the hell out of it, but it is uncomfortable.
All right, I'm adding it to my watch list. The Apology.
Okay, cool. All right, to close out the show, we got a new trailer for. Are you guys into Dune? Do you guys like Dune? I forget.
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't watched the new one.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been waiting to read the book, but I think I bought it in 4K. I think I'm just gonna watch it. So
just watch it.
All right.
So we're gonna watch the trailer for Dune Part 2.
Fuck.
Spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it? I don't even know if it can be spoilers.
Because it's a book that's...
because it's a whole continuing story. No, not only that. It's a whole continuing story, right?
Stories, and
so
then
this is like the trailer for the second half of the movie.
Right.
Which is really interesting. I can't believe you didn't watch it when HBO let us watch it at home, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a long commitment. You can't
it's this weird thing. I just want to read the books before I watch it, but I've already watched half of like the Lynch movie, so yeah.
Oh, okay. So you know the first part of the film. So you watch
the time to read those.
I mean, the Lynch film doesn't even have the thing that I know is in this film, which is like he puts his hand in the orb, right? Like that's not even in the Lynch film. But it's like where the book starts off. So
okay, so and I think this only covers the main book. These two films are only going to cover the main book.
Because it's a big ass book. I mean, look, you're trying to hell, trying to get this
all right, so let's go watch this trailer for Dune Part 2. I'm very excited because I didn't get to watch the first one in theaters. I mean, I guess I could have gone, but
that was right. That was in like the thick of COVID. So
that's right. Why would I risk it? If I'm gonna risk it, it's gonna be for Spider-Man, baby. I did. All right, so here's the Dune Part 2. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
This world is beyond cruelty. You've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades. My family's been fighting them for centuries. They were massacred alongside my father.
Your father didn't believe in revenge. We believe in Fremen.
Let me fight beside you.
Reload!
He said that. I got that. Thanks.
I won't be fighting for him. I'm fighting for my people.
You young pup.
Do you believe in Paul?
There are signs.
The prophet. Why is that a bad thing? Use it. Because all my visions lead to horror.
Because you lose control.
Because I gain it. Johnny, do you believe in me?
Paul Atreides is still alive.
Oh, what? I didn't know he was in this movie.
I didn't either.
Show me who you are.
That's Austin Butler from Elvis.
Was a
weak man. Look who's back from the dead. Now do what must be done.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
I will love you as long as I breathe.
This prophecy is how they enslave us!
It's not a prophecy. It's a story.
I don't care what you believe. I believe. I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis, under the blessing of Satan.
He who can destroy a thing has the real control of it.
We didn't get to see Florence Pugh once.
We did. She had the little things hanging over her face.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we didn't get a clear shot of her, but I know
It looks good.
I know because I've seen a lot of the character posters. I'm not the biggest Dune fan. I just the movie is the only thing I've seen. The HBO
same.
this film that's
Yeah.
that's the only Dune I've seen. But here, Clay, I got you. That was Florence Pugh. Or that is
doesn't even
Florence
look
Pugh.
like her. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone in this film, like Timothy Chalamet, really he's really selling it to me as the
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
what's the name of who's the actor that plays him in the Lynch movie? The guy from Twin
it's,
Peaks.
from Twin Peaks, Agent Cooper.
Yeah, but he's
Colin
really
McLaughlin.
selling it.
Colin
Yeah.
McLaughlin. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will say, big surprise. I was not I hadn't even heard that Christopher Walken was in these.
I didn't
Same.
either. Yeah. And he
Because all I
really-
can think of is the Smash Mouth video.
I just keep thinking, what planet is he from where he has that accent? Are they going to
Well,
have other people who talk like him too?
He seemed to be really toning down the walk-in-ness of it. I mean, he's only in
Yeah.
it for like maybe 2 seconds, but it felt very different.
Yeah, and I really like some really really great visuals. Like this was really cool.
That was amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
That's what I've said
Villeneuve-
about. Yeah, Dennis Villeneuve. Like, if you want to live in his movies, but like because like the first movie is really just an encyclopedia of what is Dune, because you're
Right.
watching it with Paul while Paul figures out everything, but it looks amazing. So it's like amazing Wikipedia.
Yeah, I will say the only other thing, I read some of the Boom comics a little bit, but those usually focus on expanding the lore of the house of Harkin, or the Harkins, or Paul's house, Atreides, or whatever, like the Civil Wars from back in the day. They explain like how their hyperloop system, whatever they used to travel, was invented. Like there's some really fun stuff, and I can see how Dune inspired a lot of like other stuff that came afterwards too. So, but yeah, Josh, let us know. I don't know if you're gonna read the books. I would say normally when I do like adaptations, especially like manga and anime, I like to watch the anime first and then go back and read the manga, because I feel like the original material is always gonna be better.
Yeah.
So like I'm only
And it's
going
so
up
dense.
in quality. Yeah, I'm only going up in quality, right?
right.
As opposed to where if you read the books and you kind of get images in your head, you maybe the films won't hit as hard. I don't know.
Yeah,
I also want to watch.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I also want to watch the Jodorowsky documentary on like when. he
Oh,
was
that's
trying to make a Dune
amazing.
film.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I
it's so
own that,
good.
dude. It is. I watch it every once in a while because I just love seeing someone who is so passionate.
Yeah, I'm planning on watching it after this film.
And I will say this: the Lynch film is worth watching, if only for the set designs and the character designs. They are beautiful. I mean, like you see where the budget went, right?
Yeah.
I know people shit on the special effects and how fractured the story is and Sting, but but when you see the sets, when you just, I mean, for fuck's sake, just watch the one sequence where Harkonnen arrives, and it's like this like steampunk train that comes in. There's all, I mean, oh, it's so good, it's so good. So yeah,
It always still makes me curious what a David Lynch Star Wars film would look like.
I know. Return of the Jedi, man. Can you believe it?
David Lynch with Ewoks.
they would have all looked like the weird fetus baby from Eraserhead, you know. Oh, which I will throw this out there. Barnes and Noble is yet again having another 50% off Criterion Collection sale. And they had Eraserhead, they had Mulholland Drive, they had Inland Empire. I didn't buy any of them. I bought Miller's Crossing, go figure. So, but anyway.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna bring us to the end of the episode. Do you guys have any last anything y'all want to say?
I was what's the runtime on Dune 2?
Probably the same as the other one. That's a good question. I don't know.
Are we looking at like a 6-hour back-to-back double feature? I mean,
maybe.
Let me see.
You know what was fun? What was interesting? A lot of people complained that this Across the Spider-Verse was a two-parter because they didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't really know that it doesn't have a runtime yet, Clay.
Yeah, I was checking.
A lot of people we didn't really know that Dune was going to be a two-parter until I guess the majority of people didn't know it was going to be two parts until we started watching the first one and the titles come up and says Dune Part 1. So that was very interesting. So yeah,
I thought that was in limbo for a while because it came out during COVID that they weren't sure if a sequel would happen to Dune.
I think they were working on both films at the same time. They just
okay.
There's just more stuff in the second one that takes you off of Arrakis. So as you could kind of see, I mean that makes sense with a film like this that you would start somewhere and then have to move the action to a very different place to meet your oppressors or whatever. So I don't know. The sandworms look cool. They didn't even show that in this one.
Yeah, but I've seen a trailer though. I've seen another trailer where it's just focused on him riding the worm, and I'm like, you're gonna fucking show that?
That was on the first trailer for this one.
Okay, yeah.
So this is the second trailer for it. So
I mean, that's a big moment, and they just show it in the trailer.
You gotta give the people all the juicy bits so they'll come to your movie. Otherwise, what is my incentive to go to the theater if you're not gonna tell me that I'm gonna see something real cool that I need to see on a big screen? At this point, a lot of the comedies and horror stuff and some of the more drama films, I don't feel the need. I don't feel compelled, except for Barbie and Oppenheimer. But
or have you seen
double feature?
Yeah, have you seen all the double feature stuff? I love it. I really do want to see both of them. The Barbie movie looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm getting curious.
I'm getting really big Lego Movie vibes from it, which is you think you're getting one thing and it's going to turn into another thing. So
let us know in the comments. Are you watching Barbie first or Oppenheimer first? There's only one correct answer, and the other one will tell you a lot about you. So, all right, cool.
All right, it's good seeing you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, for sure. Great to see you guys. We'll chat. We should have an episode next week. We'll see.
Yeah, Leonard.
Because we still have a lot to talk. We're just gonna copy the same notes and just scratch out the one thing we talked about. And stay tuned. We'll re-release our episode of The Rocketeer for tomorrow morning, probably. And also, I'm doing a review for Nimona, the new Netflix animated film. It's great. Go check it out. So, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute, mi familia. Salute.
Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Peter loves you.
Oh, yeah. Clay?
Hail Bebo.
Josh? Simon Center, get the fuck out.